Don't you hate it when people have these big parties and they don't invite you? I do. I mean, just a couple weeks ago at Cornell University, one of the biggest black fraternities in America, had a kind of a party to kind of kick off the school year. Ended up with large episodes of black mob violence. One person was killed. Well, this weekend at Indiana State University, it happened again. Another black fraternity had another huge party. Did they invite Colin? No. Did they invite you? Well, probably. You're probably more popular and more fun than I am. So, anyway, they had a huge party in Terre Haute, another black fraternity. When the party was over, another huge episode of black mob violence. Somebody tried to run down a cop with a car. And just like at the episode in Cornell, the first 12, 24 hours of news stories, it was like nobody didn't know nothing about the black fraternity that gave the party, and it was a black party for black people. Let's take a look at the story from Terre Haute, and then let's go back to the Cornell story, just as a little reminder from a broader view of what some of these events actually look like.
2 people were hurt after a party got out of hand over the weekend.
Terre Haute police responded to the National Guard Armory on Maple Avenue. News 10's John Swanner tells us what happened.
Just after midnight on Sunday, police got a call that a car ran someone over at the party. Responding officers say they found a chaotic scene with hundreds of people and thousands of cars with fights in the parking lot.
Obviously, the security measures that were put in place were inadequate to deal with that volume of people.
While breaking up the party, police arrested this man, 21-year-old Javon Frazier of Indianapolis. Frazier's charged with trying to run over an officer who was trying to direct traffic.
He had to actually push off of the vehicle to avoid being ran over.
As police took Frazier into custody, they say between 30 and 100 gunshots rang out north of the armory, leaving one person hurt. Police Chief Sean Keene says the National Guard sent him a copy of the rental contract. All he can determine is that a group with some affiliation to Indiana State University rented the armory.
It does not appear like there's a whole lot of information indicating who this person represented, other than he provided an Indianapolis address.
The criminal investigation into what happened here is ongoing. Keene says he's also looking into requiring those who throw these large parties into buying permits from the city.
When the city gives a permit to an organization to have a event on city property, there's certain stipulations, and I think that we could look at some of those same things for these private groups that have it on private property.
Keene proposes having insurance and security requirements, and venues must have an updated fire inspection, which will determine the venue's capacity.
I don't think it's unreasonable to ask groups that are going to have those, or property owners are going to allow those type of events, to make sure those things are in place.
And hopefully prevent incidents like this from happening again. In Terre Haute, I'm John Swanner, News 10.
Chief Keene says the Indiana National Guard has been very cooperative throughout the investigation. We've made contact with the public affairs officer with the Guard. So far, he's yet to respond to our request for information.
When I first heard that a black person was killed during an episode of large-scale black mob violence at Cornell University, I don't know why, but the first thing I wanted to know was, well, they were at some kind of event. I was kind of curious what the event was. So I went to the Cornell University webpage, scrolled down a bit, looked at the events, more events. I thought if I could find, maybe if I found out what the event they were attending, maybe that would help shed some light on the event itself, because I mean, we see at a lot of universities, especially black universities. I'm thinking of Howard, where they get somebody up there like a guy named 2 Chainz. He has a song called Start a Riot. Lots and lots of violence in the music and during these events. So I thought, well, maybe that had something to do with it. So I went to Cornell, looked at the events for the night in question. It happened Saturday the 27th, Saturday night. So let's see what we got. Okay, was it the Master Home Food Preservation course? No, I don't think that was it. How about Homo ludens, the architecture of play. To toy with something is to manipulate it, to try it out, within sets of contexts, none of which is determinate. That's over at the art gallery. That's over at the gallery. I don't know. That doesn't sound like that would attract a large group of rowdy black people, but I could be wrong. Polyphony. Polyphony is an interactive audiovisual installation that generates a simultaneous feedback loop between performance, image, and sound. No. West Campus house system trip to Niagara Falls? No. Genus Loci landscape paintings by Win Yarrow. No. These are all stuff you do. I mean, I didn't really have any idea there's that much stuff to do on a college campus in one day. How about American sojourns and the collecting of, looks like there's something to do with Japanese art. No. Some more Japanese stuff. No. Some more Japanese stuff. No. Some dude named Matthew Schreiber. Oh, he's got a laser light installation named Crossbow. It's named after a roller coaster in New Jersey. Maybe that's it. No, that wasn't it. Colors of Nature. No. Some kind of photographic exhibit of the Crystal Palace exposition in London. Heck, you know what? I know a little bit about that. I'd like to go to that. And you got your, maybe it's this, a welcome back picnic from the American Indian and Indigenous Studies program for our annual welcome back picnic. Stop by for an afternoon of great food and fun. No, that wasn't it. You got your Fall Creek Gorge tour. You got your climate smart farming. You got your vintage vision. This is all one day. You got your compost with confidence. Do any of these sound like they would attract a large group of hundreds of black people? 8th annual campus food show, garden explorations. You got your fall Dhamaka. This is at the Big Red Barn. You got party games, prizes, and an in-house DJ. That wasn't it. How about The Lobster? Okay, that's a movie. Then we got another movie. These are free movies. Captain America, Civil War. That's it. I mean, so I was kind of stumped. I was trying to find out, and it wasn't any of these things. I'll tell you what, you guys watch this video about what did and did not happen during this episode of large-scale black mob violence on the campus of Bucolic Cornell University, and I'll see what I can find out.
According to you guys, his parents and siblings just sent Anthony off to college for his sophomore year last week. Of course, he had big dreams of starting his own business, but all of that has been cut short now. And they say, the police up there, that he was attending a function with students from Ithaca and Cornell when he was stabbed to death in a large fight. Now here, as candles burn outside his family's apartment, they mourn his death.
Raised in Brooklyn and educated in bucolic Ithaca on a full scholarship, Anthony Nazaire was the first person in his family to attend college.
He makes everybody happy. Anytime he see you, you always have laughing in his face. He's gonna make you laugh.
But since word of his death Sunday, his family hasn't stopped crying. The 19-year-old honor student was murdered in a melee on the Cornell University campus.
This is a campus we all see as a safe place, I see as home and stuff, so for this to happen, you know, right where we all go to class and where we all live, it's a shock and it's a tragedy for sure.
Nazaire left home last week after spending the summer in the city. The Ithaca College business major was attending an orientation party at Cornell which spiraled out of control. He was stabbed to death by an unknown assailant on the Ivy League campus. This morning, police appealing to students who recorded the incident on their phones.
If you witnessed it, if you were in the area, even something small or minor to you, maybe something that helps us crack open the case.
Now his family too wants answers and an arrest.
This young man have so much talent, but we don't know. I hope they bring whoever do this to us and bring it to justice.
And I checked with Ithaca Police this morning, but there still have been no arrests made. A second student was also stabbed, but survived. Both campus communities will come together later today for a public vigil.
Now, I'm not sure why this orientation week gathering did not show up on the official list of Cornell events for students, since it was an official student event. The event was called the O-Week Turn-Up Workout Edition, and it was hosted by Omega Psi Phi. Now, Omega Psi Phi is a large black fraternity, been around for a long time. And why don't we, as I finish this video, we'll see some pictures of members of Omega Psi Phi from around the country. There are a lot of members of Omega Psi Phi have this distinctive horseshoe brand, not a tattoo, a brand that they place on their arm or wherever else they feel like putting it. One of the reasons I was interested in this story at Cornell is because I have a buddy who's like, he's like third generation Cornell. All three distinguish themselves enough that if you walk around that campus in the academic and the athletic halls, you will see their names on plaques, all three of them. And I think my buddy, he's the third generation, the Cornell grad, he dreamed that someday, well, maybe one of his children would go there as well. So anyway, so the kid, I mean, I've known this kid since he was born. And my buddy moved around the country, taking one unbelievably responsible job after another, but I always stayed in touch with him. I went to visit him. I did some work for him all over the country. And I kept hearing these Cornell stories, you know, what a great place it was, and tradition and family, and how his son was doing all these things so someday he would be fit for Cornell. So son, of course, had this unbelievable academic record. He was a national quality player in sports, in his sport, and he had an extracurricular activity that was he was also achieved national excellence in this. So, but maybe 5-6 years ago, one of the Cornell members of the Cornell development office, I'm doing air quotes here, showed up at my buddy's office. They talked the good old days, and before he left, my buddy wrote him a check for the development fund, which is in the amount of what a lot of us on this channel would make in a year or even two. So he thought his kid was in. So that's why I was stunned when he was applying, when this person was applying to Cornell, he got rejected. I thought to myself, oh, I cannot wait to see the kind of kids they let in Cornell over this guy. I mean, like, this guy's like he's like an unbelievable. I've met him, you know, I know him. He's completely respectful. He's a hard-working, smart, brilliant kid. I won't even tell you what he's doing now, but it's like way above Cornell. So maybe it worked out for the best. But I didn't really get my answers to what kind of people they let into Cornell until I saw this video, until I saw these pictures, until I saw the counts of the large-scale episode of black mob violence at Cornell. That's who's getting into Cornell. And so nobody, you know, in all of the dozens and dozens of accounts, nobody's saying this was a black fraternity. No one's saying this is a black thing. No one, you know, they're everybody as usual, very gingerly stepping around the whole idea that in bucolic Ithaca, New York, they had this episode of large-scale black mob violence, and the people in Ithaca are going, well, that's a new one on us. Now, the person who was killed was from Ithaca College near Cornell, but it was kind of mixed for black students from Ithaca and Cornell, this O-Week turn-up. I guess we're going to need another event to place on the Cornell schedule there. I'm available to teach it if nobody else wants to. We can call it Don't Make the Black Kids Angry.